The number of theaters capable of showing 70mm IMAX is limited, and for Dune Part 2, the number has decreased even more to only 12 locations worldwide, compared to Oppenheimer, which was shown in 30 theaters. Another unique detail is that the New York Lincoln Square IMAX theater is showing it at an unusual time of 3:15 in the morning. On the second day, I managed to snag a great seat from a cancellation and left my house at 2:45. Though the New York subway runs 24 hours, it's pretty risky to ride between midnight and 4 a.m. So I took a taxi. The total cost to watch the movie was about $71, which is the sum of a 31 IMAX ticket and a 44 round-trip taxi fare. With a similar amount, you could enjoy a top-tier opera at the nearby Metropolitan Opera House. That's why I usually prefer the opera over a movie theater unless it's a film like Dune. I use many streaming services, so if it's not an IMAX necessary movie, I tend to wait and watch it at home. On a side note, ever since I saw Moonstruck almost 30 years ago, it's my all-time favorite romantic comedy featuring the Opera House. I've always dreamed of going there, and now it's a place I often visit. I arrived at the theater by 3:20, expecting it to be less crowded since it was an early Friday morning showing and most people should work the same day. However, many unemployed people like me However, many movie enthusiasts like me were lined up. I heard people even drove for hours from other states to watch the movie. The article link will be in the video description. Luckily, when I entered around 3:30, they were still showing ads. Finally, Dune Part 2 began, filling the nearly scale giant screen with its vastness and Hans Zimmer's grand sound, giving a slightly overwhelming sensation. Even though it was converted from digital, the 70mm film's unique color and depth are showing. The downside is the visual dust on the screen. Not as bad as when I saw Oppenheimer last year in the same theater, likely due to the number of showings. This time, I watched Dune before the 10th showing, whereas Oppenheimer had been shown over 100 times when I saw it. They cleaned the film, but it cannot make it completely free from dust. The movie's impact was also felt in Hans Zimmer's music, where the audio texture felt different from digital. Only the parts of Oppenheimer shot in 70mm filled the screen, but in Dune Part 2, the entire movie filled the screen, enhancing scenes with elegant vertical movements. Now, some personal thoughts with spoilers ahead. If you haven't seen the movie, please check this out after watching it. There's a prevailing opinion that the sequel is superior to the first one, but there are slightly disappointing scenes for the second one. I rate both parts equally high, around 9.5. The disappointing scenes are just 3, all in the last 5 minutes, particularly involving the quick and easy execution of significant characters, which left me wanting more. In the confrontation between Gurney and Lavan faces Gurney quite confidently, but dies instantly. Later, when Paul executes Baron doesn't fight back and is easily killed by Paul. After the impressive scene in Dune Part 1, where Baron escapes a deadly gas attack, I expected some resistance when Paul approaches. Considering the advanced technology of House Harkonnen and Baron's plotting devices, I hoped for some defensive measures. Lastly, the Emperor's impressive spacecraft and escort equipment succumbing to atomic missiles felt underwhelming. If the missiles had a more futuristic names, it might have been more believable. With current technology like the Patriot system, you'd think future tech could easily intercept such threats. I point out these disappointing aspects because, aside from them, the movie is phenomenal. The main villain's easy defeats made Paul and Pai's duel stand out more. When everyone came to believe and kneel before Paul as the savior, Chaney didn't want to join. Historically, many revered figures were disregarded by their wives, like Socrates, Napoleon, Confucius, Tolstoy, Mozart, Lincoln, and Nelson Mandela, with likely many more unknown cases. Finally, a comical yet relatable scene occurs when Paul was about to kill the emperor. The princess shouts she would marry him if he spared her father's life. Without hesitation, Paul stops and proudly declares his intent to marry the princess, despite his girlfriend glaring at him. It's lucky for the emperor that his daughter was attractive. Otherwise, they might not have survived. But from another perspective, if Paul looked like a sandworm, would the princess have left her father to die?